All right, everybody, good evening and welcome to Achieve Anything Now, the master key to business and personal success. Thank you, everybody, for being online today for this basic course here, starting out the second quarter of the year. Just a couple quick things as we move in for the day here. I have muted everybody, so please just know that if you're trying to chime in, we won't be able to do that until the end of the call. But do know that as we go through, please grab a pen and paper, take some notes. And of course, always feel free to write down all your questions because I will stick around for as long as we need at the end to make sure that I get all your questions answered. Similarly, at the end of the webinar tonight, with any questions that you have in the future here, feel free to contact me in between now and the webinar next Wednesday so that I can get your questions answered as well. So that being said, like I said, welcome to this evening. Thank you all for being here. And we're just going to jump right in. And this is the master riddle of this entire course, which is the solution to this is actually given in the very last day, the very last meditation of the advanced course. But it's based on the premise that you can't give in life what you don't have, and you can't receive what you haven't given. So how do you get what you want? Well, that's what this course is all about. So my promise to you 100% is if you do this course, how I lay it out, it will absolutely change your life. So many of you know me already. For those of you who don't, my name is James Murphy. I'm an executive business coach, and I love to say an emotional release expert. That's exactly what this course is all about. And we're going to get into the psychology of that tonight. I'm my own business owner, entrepreneur. I do run a six-figure coaching practice. And unlike most coaches out there, I make my living doing exactly what I say I do, which is coaching. I don't teach certifications. I don't do speaker presentations. The only thing I do outside of coaching is what I'm doing on the phone with you tonight. So I got started back in 1999, 10 years, and spent 10 years with Tony Robbins, those of you who know him. And to date, I kind of quit counting, but I've logged over 30,000 coaching sessions. I have a master practitioner training and certification in the science of NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, a concept called Line Therapy, even though I'm not a therapist, hypnosis. And I was trained by another a gentleman in the business, Richard Bandler, who founded NLP, Tony Robbins, MAC, Sandler Sales, and much more. But most important, I want you to know that I'm 100% human, just like you. I had a client once who said, James, you're always so up on the phone and everything else. You must not have any problems. I said, as far as you know, I don't. But on the flip side of that, I actually did. Because this is what happened. In 1999, I got all excited and I went to a Tony Robbins event, and it was fantastic. I went to his UPW event, walked across 12 feet of coals. I thought, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I can use and channel my emotions. And so I signed up for the big event, his package of 3 seminars. So I did that and walked across 40 feet of fire in Hawaii. It was an amazing emotional experience. And then I joined their coaching business. So this is how the seminar business works. And most of the self-help personal business is built this way as well, which is you're here and you go to these big, what I call a fishbowl event. You pay $5,000-$6,000. You pay 12 or 14 for their package afterwards. And this is quote unquote going to change your life and do this. But the problem is you're stuck in the fishbowl. So yes, some change happens, but most change doesn't really stick. You come back home and you're like, what now? So that's where coaching was developed. So I thought, you know what? I love this seminar thing. So that's why I quit my job as a U.S. Marshal and went to start to do coaching with Robbins. So you have these big fishbowl events, and maybe you go back, keep paying them some money to go back and feel good and clap hands with the big guy and joyously jump up and down and sing Kumbaya. And then you come and you get a personal coach out here. And I believe coaching is great because this is like a once a year thing or 2 times a year thing. Now you got a coach to help you, 7 days a week or once every 7 days, right? Once a week or 2 or 3 times a month. And that definitely helps because that's where the real change starts to work as you're applying it and integrating it. But for the small business owner, there's a huge gap in the business because I've heard over and over and over from my clients. They're like, hey, I'm all excited. I'm all motivated. We get on the call. Everything's great. And then about 2 or 3 days later, I'm stuck at my desk again, sitting there thinking, what the heck do I do now? Right? I got all this anger or this sadness, or I'm fearful, or I don't know where I'm going. I don't have my self-confidence, don't have my self-esteem. And so that's what this course now is all about. And we're going to, this symbol here has a specific meaning that you'll find out as we go along. But this is, what does the person do every day, right? What does the small business owner do when they come home and now they're sitting at their desk going, great, what's next? Right? Or they have to start to make those sales calls, or they have to start to jump into trying to do some marketing, or they have to do these things that are really tough or really challenging. And that's where the big gap was. Because like I just said, my clients were like, oh, James, you went to Tony Robbins. Oh, yeah. And oh, you're a coach for him. Oh, yeah, great. But behind closed doors, back over here, I was a total mess. I'd gone to all these events. I immersed myself in the coaching for 10 years. And the bottom line is I found myself as a business owner. I made about $35,000 in 6 months. I'm coaching, huge executives, big executives, small business owners who are extremely successful. They're making money. They're making their businesses grow. And I'm making $35,000, right, in the first 6 months. And I'm $50,000 in debt. And I'm thinking, what the heck is wrong with me? But the irony is this: that's actually a psychological problem that's called the cobbler's son that has no shoes. Right? The cobbler is great at fixing everybody's shoes. He's a master in his industry. He's a master at what he does. He can fix any shoe, pound any nail, glue anything, make it look perfect. But then at the end of the day, when he walks back home, he's a mess, right? His kids don't have shoes. 80% of police have authority issues. 80% of nurses have some nurturing issues. You see it every day in sports and in professional life. People like Robin Williams, people like Jared the Subway guy, Pee Wee Herman, right? They get all this success and that shadow self catches up with them. And so this course helped me through emotional release delete or omit or mitigate that shadow self. And so that's why I'm so excited about it, because it truly revolutionarily changed my life. So as you go through our course, there's going to be two ways that you can do things in life as well as in this course. One is you can just take things as they come and learn to trust, right? Because have less and less control, because guess what? Things can come nice and easy to you. Or you can do things through willpower, having to do things the hard way, where you live life getting all beat up and all thrown around. And this is where I was when I was through willpower, trying to make things happen, trying to make things work for me. And it was really just a mess. I got nowhere. But now that I have more rapport with my unconscious mind, and we'll get into that here in just a few minutes, life is a lot easier, and I get everything that I want. I have all the food I want to eat. I have everything that I want and that I need with no effort. There's no bucking bronco. There's no anything here to beat me up, bruise me up. Life isn't throwing me around anymore. Yes, I still have some challenges, but I'm not riding this horse through life anymore. So that's what this course is about. There's an old metaphor that talks about a guy's walking down the street and he sees a horse. So he just walks over and he gets on the horse and he just says, hey, take me home. And the horse just, ironically enough, just starts walking him home. So that's where we are. I want to walk you back home to build rapport with your mind. Because the bottom line is when you take this course, I want you to understand that this is your journey. This is not me. I'm not going to tell you exactly how to do it. Yes, I'll have the suggestions, but what I want you to do is take the information from this course and I want you to make it be your own. Because first of all, the hero's journey, right? This is your life. You're the main character. And I know for all of you that you have something that you really want. Because when you set a goal, you put your obstacles in place, right? Everybody is here because somehow, some way you desire something more. But like I just said, when you set that goal, you automatically put your obstacles in place. And those obstacles show up in two patterns. One is internal problems and challenges, obstacles. And those are things that are emotional, like anger, sadness, fear, guilt, limiting decisions that we have inside. And then there are also external problems. Lack of motivation, lack of concentration, which I like to think is long-term focus, right? That dedication, that purpose towards what you're driving towards. There's your sense of commitment, which is making and engaging some sense of choice that you're going to do what you're going to do long-term. Or maybe it's you don't have any money or you don't have the right people around you, but there's external problems that we set as well. Well, your internal world creates your external world. In NLP, we say your perception is your projection. So the first thing to do is just take responsibility because it's your life, and then realize whenever you set a goal, you're going to have problems. The problem with most people is they think that they shouldn't have the problems that they have. I tell my small business owners and people, I say, you know what, the only problem that you should have is a growth problem. And if you have a growth problem, that means you're going to have some sense of anger, sadness, fear, guilt, limiting decisions that come in your way because you're going to continually be stretching yourself to do something more. You should have an experience of lack of motivation, concentration, commitment. And the question is, what do you do with this? If you can accept the presupposition that you have these problems, right, because you've set a goal to stretch and grow, so you have these problems, what the heck do you do with it? That's what this course is all about. It's the answer to that question. And it's been said many different times, like Wallace Waddell said it in his course, right? You got to think the right way. It's right thinking. Well, what is right thinking? Nobody ever says exactly how to do it or what it is. So we're going to do that. And the guide that you're going to meet is not me. Tony has a great Netflix thing that says, I am not your guru. I am not your guru. Your guide is going to be your unconscious mind. Because a big premise of this course is that your unconscious mind knows what it needs to release in order for you to become more whole, healed, and complete. And if you have any doubt on that, just ask yourself, how am I healed when I cut myself? Who does that? It's your unconscious mind. So I'm just here to help you get the plan that you need. So I'm going to help you learn to harness the power of your mind to create everything that you want with emotional release strategies, which in the end will help raise your levels of consciousness. This is what you're getting in the webinar. This is going to be the intellectual knowledge. And then I'm going to give you calls to action, which is with every single webinar that comes along, you're going to have audio meditations that I'm going to release and unpack every single week. So it's really important as we go through the class that if you miss a webinar, great. That's why I keep it and give you access to a Dropbox file so you can see it. Every one of these courses and webinars is stacked on top of the next one. So please, if you make it to the webinar, so if you can't make the webinar, make sure that you view or listen to the webinar. There's an audio-only file as well. Make sure that you do that and you listen at least once to the audio meditations that I'm sending out week to week to week, because there's about 14 of them, I think, 13 or 14 for this class, and you'll want to do them in order so that everything is built upon itself as we go. So the audio meditations are going to give you the experiential aspect of the course. So please choose to do them, right? Let me move this for a second here. So the plan is based on the success formula here. We're going to get into that in the next screen. Just choose to do the experiential aspect of the course. If you don't do the experiential aspect of the course and choose to do it, you won't have the results that I'm promising you. And in the end, you'll have success or failure based on how much energy you put into this. It's your choice. You can be victorious or you can be vanquished, but this is all you need to do. Follow the intellectual webinars, choose to do the experiential audios, and you will become victorious, I promise you. And I can tell you that because I took my business, the first 6 months, I took my business from $35,000 to $68,000 the second 6 months of the year. And I quit doing 100% of all the marketing in my business. I quit doing my podcast. I quit doing social media. I quit doing everything else. The next year I built my business another 50%. And the next year I built my business another 20% by doing absolutely nothing but what I'm going to give you in this basic and this advanced course. So this is a results-driven, focused, emotional release course that will absolutely change your life. So I mentioned this just a few minutes ago. Well, actually, let's go back a second. If you have any questions about this, let's just take 30 seconds and go ahead and write down any questions that you might have about what we covered so far so that we can cover them here at the end. So this is what we covered real quick, right? You can do things the easy way or the hard way. We want you to take responsibility for your life. And when you set a goal, you put your obstacles in place. Your unconscious mind is going to be your guide that's going to help you to do the emotional release work through the intellectual plan that I give you, through these recordings and the meditations and the audio files that come along with it. And if you do these two together and you stay current and focused with the plan, you'll get absolutely where you want to go, which is victorious in your goal. All right, so that being said, let's jump ahead. So let's take a moment, and I want you to write down on your piece of paper, I want you to think, what's a specific goal you want to focus on achieving in the next 4 weeks or the next 8 weeks if you take the advanced course, or the next 10 weeks. What's a goal, an idea, something that you want to achieve in the next 10 weeks or so? I want you to go ahead and just write that down. For me, I just wanted more clients in my business so that I could pay off that debt that I had created and continue to pay for college and get my life into a better place. Maybe for you it's weight loss. Maybe for you it's a new job. I don't know what it is, but take a moment and write down a very specific, clear goal that you want to have in your life in the next 10 weeks or so. But it has to be 10 weeks. So it can't be like, $50,000 in debt. It can't be, have $50,000 worth of debt wiped out in 10 weeks. Not when you're only making $30,000 for 6 months of the year. All right, so if you wrote down the goal, awesome. So the premise of this course is built on this idea, which is when a person sets a goal, they automatically define all the obstacles that they have to overcome to achieve it. Because with every goal that we set, if it's a worthy goal, we're going to have to grow. I'm going to label these obstacles as, generally speaking, resistance. And psychologically, these obstacles come in 4 patterns of experience. The first one is mental. Mental obstacles are what we call in NLP limiting decisions and beliefs. A limiting decision, linguistically, and limiting beliefs start with anything in language that says, I can't, I'm not, I'll try, I don't know how, I might, I may, if this happens, then I'll do this, but, although, however, I should, I could, I need, I ought to, I have to. Anything that starts with something other than these 4 statements, I am, with a positive belief after it, I will, or I willingly, I choose to, or I commit to, is a limitation. It's a mental limitation inside the mind that creates resistance. I need to do this. I should do this, because it kicks in. I want you to write this down if you're writing things down. When you set a goal in place and you work to achieve it through sheer willpower, you also put all of your resistance in place that matches it. We're going to talk to that about that in just a second here. But when you choose to do something by willpower, you automatically match it at the same level of resistance. That's where procrastination kicks in. That's where those other things kick in, because the more you try to do it with willpower, I mean, think about it. Anybody can, through willpower, put themselves on a 10-day cleanse or a 15-day cleanse, but what happens after the cleanse is over? They go back to their normal weight, plus they usually gain more. Same thing with a diet. The average person who goes on a diet, when they lose weight, they usually go back to their ideal weight, plus they gain a few more extra pounds. It's because willpower takes energy to not only maintain it, or to maintain it and sustain it. And as soon as you run out of the energy and the willpower to sustain it, you fall and you crash harder than the results that you get through it. So we want to let go of resistance in the mind so that it takes less willpower to achieve things, so things will get easier. The second form of resistance is emotional resistance, which are negative emotions like anger, sadness, fear, anxiety, guilt, regret, overwhelm, angst. We're going to go into those more as we go along through the course. But so we have limitations in terms of our thinking or our beliefs, emotional limitations in terms of our feelings. We also have physical limitations in terms of our physical body or biochemical responses in the body, right? Insomnia, aches, pain, sickness. And then we also have spiritual obstacles, right? Many times people who are way, way, way overweight, there's a spiritual component to that because they feel empty and hollow inside, and they don't feel connected to something that's more than them, right? Even every great person in the world, like Abraham Lincoln or Mother Teresa, they all say, look, I was guided by something more than me. So they have that connection to something more. And so you can label this whatever you want it to be, but there are spiritual obstacles that we can set in place. So these are the 4 sets of obstacles that we want to start to build awareness towards. during this program. So this is the success equation. The success equation, you maybe take this 2R out, right? Maybe this is familiar to you, E equals MC squared, right? Well, in psychology, this is what this means. You can have everything that you want in life, and E equals energy. E also equals money, because money is energy. So if you want more money, the equation is motivation times concentration, long-term focus, times commitment. That's supposed to be C squared, right? So you can have everything that you want in life if you have motivation, the right concentration, the right commitment, but you let go of your resistance, which is what we just talked about here, right? The mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual things that you set in place by setting your goal. That's why I said everything grows in proportion. The more you put into this, the more this grows. So resistance, we're going to use and cover 7 clearing tools. This course is made of 7 different release processes for the 2 types of resistance that a person can experience. Okay? So let's talk about this equation, and I'm going to talk about how this works psychologically through a money blueprint example here. So everybody has a money blueprint, and the money blueprint is your assets minus your bills equals cash or credit card debt. Everybody knows this equation. It's really simple. You make $10, you spend $9, you have $1 left over, which is cash. You spend 9, or you make 9, you spend 10, you have $1 left over of credit card debt. It's really, really simple. Well, think about that in terms of this. MC squared minus 2R equals E in relationship to this. So let's talk about this. This is a person's success blueprint monetarily when they are successful. They make 10, like I just said, they spend 9, and they have $1 left over. That's 10%. People could also have a negative success blueprint. They make 10, they spend 11, and they have minus $1 left over, right? Credit card debt, or 10%. Make sense? I'm sure it does. Really simple. But this is what happens. Are you ready? There's a universal law which says that nature doesn't like a vacuum, and everything grows in proportion. Okay? So if we look at it this way, a person who spends 9 or makes 9 and spends 10, they have minus 1%, or minus $1, or minus 10%. If they use willpower, and they use willpower to make 90, if everything grows in proportion, right? So their spending habits are going to grow in proportion to their income. So that means that they're going to have $100 that they spend, and so they're going to have negative $10 or negative 10%. The majority of lottery winners are broke within 5 to 6 years. Why? Because they don't really notice it when they have 9 and they spend 10. That's a really slow process. But when all of a sudden they get a couple million, guess what? Now they have 900,000 and they spend a million, and now they have a debt left over of minus 100,000, and they spend through their principal plus more, and they have nothing to show for it at the end. Now, the same thing happens, though, on a good way, which is if someone has a positive money blueprint, they spend 10, or they make 10, they spend 9, and they have $1 left over, or a positive 10%. Well, guess what happens? If they put energy into making 100, well, then their expenses will grow in proportion, so they'll spend 90, and they have $10 ahead. But this is the thing. They're going to think they're richer, but it's still only 10%. All that extra energy that they had to put into this to make tenfold money, all the willpower, everything that they took to overcome the resistance here and make more, guess what? The resistance grew at the same time. So this is what I mean. They might make more money in the short run, but in the long run, as soon as they can't maintain this anymore, they're going to fall back to this and maybe even this. Because you hear that all the time. Oh, I'm making more money. I've worked so hard, so I deserve it. So I'm going to spend and buy this. This is the real way to create wealth without any extra money. If you, just like here, if you make 9 and instead of spending 10, you just cut down your expenses, the resistance, you automatically have $3 left over, which is a positive 30% return on your investment for no additional energy. All you did was let go of something. Same thing here. Now, if you put the willpower into it and you go here and you spend, you put willpower into it and you make 90, guess what? Your expenses are still going to grow in proportion to 60 But guess what? You have 30% left over. And even if you boomerang back down to this and this goes up, maybe it goes up to 7 or 8, you're still positive. You're still making money. It's okay, because then you can just readjust. And then the secret is, of course, if we do both, if we maximize our income with our motivation in this, and we really cut our expenses, or we let go of that emotional resistance, then we start to really see accelerated results. So let's apply this to the success blueprint. Okay? So remember, the blueprint is MC squared minus 2R equals E. MC squared is motivation times consistency and commitment, or commitment and concentration, minus our resistance, which is anger, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. That gives us our energy, right? So there you go. So moving that forward, if you don't have what you want in life, is because there's too much resistance that's trapped in your unconscious mind. So we want to let that go. So this is how we change your success blueprint. We release the resistance and we decrease it, so you naturally have more energy. That's how this works. So the 7 forms of resistance that we're going to clear up are fear and anxiety, anger, sadness, guilt and regret, limiting decisions, resentment or forgiveness, and dichotomies, or NLP, we call this parts. These are the 7 forms of resistance that we're going to have meditations on learning to release. Okay? Now, this first course is let's just pretend that all these letters up here are individual experiences of, say, fear and anxiety, right? So this first course is going to be about releasing each one of these, building a rapport with the unconscious mind, and it's going to say, oh, let's just release this. Let's release the O, because that's what it gave us. Great. Then we might say, oh, well, let's release some sadness, and it's going to give us the A, this experience over here. Then we might say, oh, let's clear up limiting decision. So we're going to clear up limiting decisions around the number 7. That's what the basic course is. The basic course is we're going to cover the top 6 here. We're not going to do dichotomy and parts. That's in the advance. But we're going to learn to clear up anger, sadness, fear, and anxiety, guilt, regret, limiting decisions. And we're going to do 1 forgiveness meditation in the basic course. In the advanced course, just looking ahead, we're going to learn to clear out what we call a gestalt, which is, let's say that we have an anger issue here. Then all of a sudden we experience something else that's anger, and something else that's anger, and something else that's anger, and it starts to link all these things together. A gestalt in psychology is a collective group of emotions that all fire off to create a powerful emotional experience. So in the advanced course, we're going to use timeline work, and actually, instead of just taking them one at a time, whatever the unconscious mind might bring up to us, we're going to learn to accelerate the process of emotional release by letting go of everything in the entire gestalt at once. And then the dichotomies is basically we just blow up the whole thing. So that's going to be fun. So the basic course here is 100% about building some awareness with the unconscious mind, learning and using these audio meditations to clear up anger, sadness, fear, guilt, limiting decisions, and practicing forgiveness. So you're going to hear that over and over and over again. So that's how we're going to do it. So releasing the resistance of anger, sadness, fear, guilt, and limiting decisions. How the heck do we do it, right? Well, it's all trapped in the unconscious mind. So step number 1 in the process is we need to learn to build rapport with our unconscious mind. Now, the reason why I say build rapport with your unconscious mind is because most of us think with our conscious mind. So let's get into exploring the distinctions between the conscious and the unconscious mind and how they work together, okay? The conscious mind is exactly the part of your brain that you're using right now. As you're looking at my little cursor on the screen, you're reading this, the 2 minds, CM, unconscious mind, you're thinking, I think that means unconscious mind, this means conscious mind, and okay, there's this and there's this. It's looking at your BMW or your Infiniti or whatever it is, your Lexus that's out in the driveway. Your conscious mind is what's going on the majority of the time with your eyes open as you're looking around everywhere. Your unconscious mind, and I'm sorry, let me use this metaphor more clearly. The conscious mind is, if this is a house, if this is the first floor of the house, the conscious mind works in what you can see, the realm of reality. It's looking out the window going, oh, look, here's some writing on the page. The unconscious mind is like a 7-year-old in the basement. Your unconscious mind is a little child, and the reason for that is you can't hypnotize a child under 7 years. You can't hypnotize a child under 7 years old because they already are all of the time. What separates the conscious mind from the unconscious mind is this floor, or in hypnosis we call it your critical faculty. It's the ability to choose meanings that you attach to things. So the conscious mind only has one job, and one job only, and that's to tell, through the telephone line here, to tell the unconscious mind what it wants it to do. And when it's telling the unconscious mind, or the child here in the basement, you've heard that, right? Your inner child. When it's telling it what to do, it can do that in one of two personas. There's only two personas here. You can be your critical parent, do it, don't do it. Or you can be the nurturing parent. Hey, let's work together. Let's be cooperative. We might call this the critical parent is the authoritative figure, mom and dad's voice when you're in trouble, whatever that might have been when you were a kid. Or it can be the nurturing parent, which was that one teacher that believed in you. It was like, hey, let's do this together. We can work it out. We can do it. So we want to let go of the critical parent. You might call that the ego, and get back into the nurturing parent who's supporting us as we go through this. So we want to start to raise our levels of awareness to which part of our conscious mind are we in, because the conscious mind's prime directive, like I just said, is strictly just to tell the unconscious mind what to do or what it is that we wanted to create for us. And for those of you in business, it would be the SMART goal. That's the conscious mind telling the unconscious mind exactly what it wants it to have. I've successfully completed the New York City Marathon on November 2nd, 2002 in 5 hours or less, injury-free, right? That's a clear, conscious left brain logic telling the unconscious mind, this is what I want to have happen. Now, the unconscious mind, it's a little 7-year-old here in the basement. And guess what? It's always listening to what the conscious mind is telling it to do. If it's talking negative, it's going to be resentful. If it's talking positive and nurturing, it's going to be happy and give it what it wants. This communication between the conscious and the unconscious mind is built through relaxation. We're going to get into this much more and how this dynamic works. This is actually a tiny little cutout of a much bigger model that we're going to explore here as we go. But basically, for the purposes of today, we start to build rapport with the unconscious mind through relaxation. Okay? So rapport equals relaxation. So the first 3 audios that I'm going to give you today and tonight are specifically built upon learning to breathe, relax, and start to meditate. Okay? So let's go back here for a second. Rapport equals relaxation between the critical, the nurturing parent, and the unconscious mind. The bottom line is most of us are out of rapport with our unconscious mind because we're so used to just telling it what we want it to do that we're not listening to it. So I'm going to go through this in the next webinar too, but since we have some time, I'm going to give you also the prime directives of the unconscious mind that we want to take note of. So if you have a pen and paper, go ahead and write this down. Otherwise, you can review this again. Come to about minute 34, and that's where we review this. So the conscious mind, like I said, only has one prime directive, and that's to tell the unconscious mind what to do, what it wants, or what it needs to recall, right? A simple example of that is, where are my car keys, right? You're in an anxious mood. You're like, where are my car keys? Or where are my sunglasses? Your critical parent is telling the unconscious mind, where the heck is my stuff? The unconscious mind has about 5, well, actually in NLP there's 19, but for the purposes of this program, there are 5 primary directives of your unconscious mind. Number 1, I already mentioned this with the horses. It wants to keep us whole and heal and complete. So the unconscious mind has a perfect blueprint of the body, right? So I'm going to say that again. The first prime directive of the unconscious mind is to keep us whole and healed and complete. You don't consciously heal yourself. You don't consciously breathe at night, so you keep getting oxygen and you stay alive. You don't consciously, jump back from the curb when there's a snake, right? You don't go, oh, snake, ooh, I think I'll jump back because I might get bit. No, the unconscious mind wants to keep us alive. It wants to keep us whole and healed and complete. The second prime directive of the unconscious mind is that it stores all of our memories, whether they're positive or negative. So the first one is that it wants to keep us whole and healed and complete. The second one is that it stores all of our memories, positive and negative. The third thing that's important to know, prime directive about the unconscious mind, is that it can also assign meanings to new associations or new experiences that we have. And it does that by number 4, which is it does that by creating associations between the new experience to something that we already know, something that's already stored in the unconscious mind. That's why if you see your wife and you think she's beautiful, or you see your boyfriend and you think he's beautiful, or you see your dog or your cat and you're like, oh, they make me so happy, whatever that is, you can even just look at them and happiness lights up. Is because you have a whole gestalt. Every time you see the dog happy, dog happy, dog happy, wife beautiful, husband hunk, whatever that is. And you start to create this gestalt, so it becomes an instant anchor. The unconscious mind starts to unconsciously create and associate those meanings to things that the conscious mind is seeing and experiencing. There's a problem with that, though. The first 2 prime directives of the unconscious mind, which are, guess what? We just went through that. The first prime directive, which is the unconscious mind has a blueprint of the body, right? It wants us to be whole and healed and complete. The second one is that it stores all of our memories, positive or negative. Positive memories can make us whole and healed and complete energetically, right? Because things like courage and willingness and acceptance and reason and love and joy and peace and enlightenment, those are all great things that keep us whole and healed and complete emotionally. Things that don't keep us whole and healed and complete, though dis-ease, are things like shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. Those are things that unconsciously don't keep us whole and healed and complete. So the unconscious mind has a big problem. It has a big dilemma. How does it keep us whole and healed and complete if it has to store negative memories? And if it's creating and associating more memories to negative memories, it doesn't want to do that either, because that makes us even more unwhole, unhealed, and incomplete. Well, this is what I want you to start to be aware of. Where most of you are in a pattern right now is you're driving down the street, everything is wonderful, and then all of a sudden, guess what happens? Something negative pops in your head. That old girlfriend, that guy cuts in front of you in the car. All of a sudden you have some anger, some sadness, some fear, some guilt, some anxiety, some grief, whatever it is. That comes up again. But what do most people do? You consciously, with the critical mind, shove it back down to that critical parent and say, I don't want to deal with that right now. I don't want to do that. Well, I was feeling that, but you know what? I just got to willpower, go do this instead. But guess what? When you willpower it, you shove it back down and you create even more resistance in moving towards what it is that you want to have. You've heard that before, right? The more you want it, the less likely it is to happen. Sometimes when people try too hard, what happens when you're in high school and you're trying so hard to get a girlfriend? Right? You're trying so hard, and everybody's friending you, everybody's in the nice zone, and then you finally get a girlfriend, and then what happens? All the other girls pop out of the woodwork, and now you start second guessing yourself. Like, oh my gosh, do I really want the one that I have? That's this critical parent who's totally playing games on you, right? So when you pursue something with willpower, you just grow your resistance. But the way the unconscious mind, I really want you to pay attention to this, the way the unconscious mind, I'm going to offer you a new paradigm on how your brain works. When you're driving on the street and all of a sudden your unconscious mind, you're in a good mood and the unconscious mind drops something or shoots something up here for you, right? Because it wants to release it. That's how the unconscious mind is trying to get out of this conundrum between being whole and healed and complete, but having to store all these negative emotions. It needs permission from the conscious and the unconscious mind to let it go. So it brings it back up. This is a two-way phone line. So we're driving along, everything's great, and then all of a sudden the unconscious mind says, hey, we're in such a great mood, we have so much good energy, let's throw this negative thing up there and tell me I can release it, I can let it go, so we can feel even more happy, even more whole and healed and complete. And what does this critical parent do? The critical parent says, why'd you bring that up? I shouldn't do that. So you shove it back down. The unconscious mind starts to get testy. It closes down. And now next time something happens out here that's even closely associated to it, now it's even more of a negative, and we experience it, and it gets linked up right down here in that negative gestalt in your mind. So what we want to do is we want to start to build awareness and rapport with the unconscious mind, so we can just start to pay attention to the negative things that it's bringing back up for us, so that we just literally stop, listen to one of these meditations, and let the conscious and unconscious mind build this relationship together, so that they can work together, and the conscious mind can say, hey, as a nurturing parent, hey, I get it. Let's have no judgment on that. Let's just let it go. And the unconscious mind can go, finally, good. I let it go. It goes out in the blackness of nothing, in the ethers of the universe, so to speak. It's totally gone. And then all of a sudden, they're both happier because now they're more whole and healed and complete. And we can do that one at a time. We can do that with a whole group of emotions in a gestalt. Or like I said, we can totally blow the whole paradigm with dichotomies and parts integrations, and really accelerate and blow the heck out of negative things in our mind and release them. But that's what this course is about. We want to start to build awareness of the unconscious mind, so we can start to listen to what it's giving to us, and then we calm down, build a rapport between the two, release the judgment around what it's giving us, and we just work together to let things go. So go ahead and write down any questions you have at this point around that concept before we get into the audio meditations for this week. I'll give you 30 seconds. All right, so we're going to move into the third part now of the webinar this evening, and this is we're going to cover the audio meditations that I'm going to release for you this week. There's going to be 3. Each one of these builds upon the skill in the previous one until the third one you're doing all 3 of the pieces. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to talk about how to breathe, because rapport equals relaxation, and all relaxation begins with breathing, and relaxation begins in the face. Your entire body's relaxation begins in the face, and we're going to cover that here in a minute. So I'm just going to, I did this in the first webinar, I had everybody follow along, and one guy actually fell asleep on the webinar. So if you're driving, don't do this. If you want to follow along, great, but I promise you're going to get nice and relaxed if you do it. So just follow along with me as I explain it, but I'm going to do it. So the first thing is to learn how to breathe correctly. So when we do any relaxation, any meditation, it's really simple how you breathe. The first step is you want to breathe in through your nose and breathe deep down into your diaphragm. So if you want to know where your diaphragm is, just stick your thumb in your belly button, put your palm down, so it's like over where your belt buckle is, and you want to pretend like you're breathing way down into the palm of your hand, and you're just going to breathe in through the nose real deep, deep, deep down into the palm of your hand. So it just sounds like this. That's it. So that's the in breath. It's just that simple. And what that does is it feeds all the oxygen, pushes it all the way down to the very bottom of your lungs. Because I don't remember exactly, but I think it's like 90% of your oxygen receptors are in the bottom third of your lungs. So you want to breathe in really, really deep down into the diaphragm. And then when you exhale out your mouth, you want to do it from kind of the back of the throat. They do this in yoga. It gives you a nice paced breathing out of the back of your throat. For those of you who are from the Midwest, when you're a kid and it'd be really cold out in the winter and you put the frost on the cold glass, right, and draw something in it, or you just go, or when you go to clean your glasses with a rag or something and you put the condensation on it and you just go like that. That's the exhale from the back of the throat. That's this ha sound. So it's going to sound like this if we put these two things together. You're going to breathe in through the nose, way deep down in your diaphragm, and then you're just going to exhale out your mouth from the back of the throat with a ha sound. It's going to sound like this. Really nice and deep. Now, initially when I started breathing like this is how it sounded. I went, It was really shallow and deep, or really shallow and not very deep. If you start to breathe really shallow, what you want to do is you're just not breathing deep enough. So you really want to breathe in deep through the nose and then out through the diaphragm. So eventually you'll be able to do this. I'm just going to start it over. You're going to breathe in and then exhale like this. Do you notice the energy is a little bit different? Hopefully, I'm sure you probably got that through listening. But once you get the in breath and then the out breath with the ha sound, what we're going to do is start to relax the muscles here around your eyes. So you know the football players, right? They put this stuff here and they put this stuff here, the black stuff, and then your eyebrows like this. If you just go ahead and you can do this while we're on the phone, just brush right here on the top of your cheeks with your fingers, put both your fingers right here and brush out at the same time and rub your temples. When I say in the audio, relax those muscles around your eyes, if you just relax those muscles as you exhale, all relaxation starts from there. You'll start to feel your cheeks relax, your jaw, your chin. That relaxation will flow down your neck, your shoulders, and your body. So if you want to do it with me, you can. We'll just do one breath. Just breathe in through your nose. Way deep down in your diaphragm, and then relax the muscles around your eyes as you exhale. Nice and easy. Four breaths is one, set or one repetition. So if you do 40 breaths, great way to practice. You'll be so calm, you'll be so relaxed, you might even fall asleep. So that's the first audio, is just literally learning and starting to breathe. The second audio meditation is we're going to add one thing to this. So what I want you to do, and you can do this right now, is just put your finger literally right here on the bridge of your nose, right in between your eyebrows. And I just want you to tap. For those of you who need a frame of context, just imagine like you're thumping a watermelon. You know how you thump a watermelon to see if it gets that nice hollow sound, right? Just go ahead and tap on your forehead right above your eyebrows right there, right? You can feel like right above the bridge of your nose right there. There's like a little place in your bone. There's your forehead bone right there. There's a tiny little indentation right there. If you put your finger there, you can kind of feel right in between, kind of like with your breastbone. You can kind of feel right where the middle is there. If you kind of feel around, wiggle your finger a little bit right there, you can feel right where that little indentation is. And if you tap right there, that activates what they call your pineal gland, Pineal, which in meditation is what they call your third eye. Maybe you've heard of that before. So what we want to do now is we want to take breathing pattern from number 1, which is breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. And this time, close your eyes, and we want to tap right there on your forehead, 6 to 8 times with a little bit of volition so you can feel it. And that's what that does. You can hear me tapping, right? That activates your pineal gland or your third eye. And all you want to do with your eyes closed is just kind of breathe up or look and breathe up. When you exhale to where you tapped, you can feel that where you tapped, if you tapped it pretty good. So we're just going to add to that to breathe in. And you can even practice breathing energy in through where you tapped, putting your eyes up just a little bit. Breathe that energy in through your third eye, and then just exhale. And relax all those muscles around your eyes and your cheeks and your face. And so we want to add that. You want to keep your focus there on that third eye as you breathe in through it. And then just practice exhaling and releasing all the muscles around your eyes. That's it. Now, for some of you, right, you might see, quote unquote, a spot there, a yellow light, a white light. That's okay. That's the third step. The third step, the third meditation you're going to get this week, will say, go ahead and tap on your third eye. And we're going to start to breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, and relax. And this time, as you look up and to the right, close your eyes, everybody, and look up and to the right, and then come down and look up and to the left with your eyes closed. And then look straight up towards where you tapped yourself in your third eye, if you can still feel it. If you can't feel it, just go ahead and tap there again. And you'll notice in the middle of this blackness, there's like a yellow light, a white light. It might be like lightning in a cloud that kind of comes and goes. It might be like little pinpricks of light, like when you see stars, when you get up too quick. However you see the light is absolutely perfect for you. Like I said, it could be yellow, it could be white. If you're really sensitive to it, you might see that it's kind of a red or like a black or a smoky green color. It could be some other colors as well. If you're relaxed enough, it will turn into a blue-black spot. That's a place of truth. I'm just kind of jumping ahead a little bit. But that's where your conscious mind, where we want you to consciously put your attention while you meditate. So the third meditation is just called Meditate on the Light, and we're going to do all three. I'm going to have you tap on your forehead. Then we're going to start to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And you just look up through that third eye, and you just stay focused on the light. And that does two things. The oxygen helps oxygenate your body so you don't fall asleep, because oxygen wakes you up, gives you mental clarity. So you'll be able to carry the mental focus in your meditation longer and longer and longer the more you breathe that way. And the second thing is, by focusing on the light, it will give you something to focus on so that you can stay awake and focused in the meditation. So this is the thing about the light. It will come and go. So you maybe see it for a second or two, then it might fade away. And then you just kind of refocus your eyes and it'll come back. And then it'll go away, and then you refocus your eyes and it'll come back. And it'll come back a little bit different every single time. Sometimes it might be huge and it'll be full and panoramic inside your mind. And sometimes, like I said, it'll be little and small, like a tiny little pinprick of light. We just want to start to build awareness and just notice when the light is there, and then it goes away, and just readjust and know that that's natural. It happens all the time. And then it'll just come back as you just focus on it again. Adjust your focus inside your mind a little, it'll come back. This is the basis of all simple meditation. If you focus on this and you start to get to the blue-black spot, that's awesome in between now and next time. So you just want to do all three things together. So we'll just tap, breathe in through the nose, breathing in energy through that spot of your third eye, and then you're just going to relax. As you exhale, and that's all we're going to do through the meditation. If you fall asleep, it's totally okay. If you stay awake through the whole thing, it's totally okay. If you do this while you're walking, I do this while I walk on the Greenway Trail with my eyes open, of course. Perfect. Just doing the breathing, and you'll kind of zone out real light. If you do it in a dark room, you'll be able to see the light easier than if you do it in a lit room, but you can still, after a while, do it in any occasion, in any circumstance. So ideally, between now and our next session, practice audio 1, at least listen to it once, and then audio 2, and then audio number 3. If you're an advanced meditator, just skip to number 3 if you want, if you feel like you can do all things, 3 things at once. Focus, tap, focus your energy through your third eye or the pineal gland while you breathe in, while you relax the muscles around your eyes. If you're brand new to meditation, just do number 1 for a day or 2, and then incorporate into the breathing, then incorporate the tapping and keep your focus there while you breathe and relax. And then do that for a couple days, and then 2 or 3 days before the call next week on Wednesday, add in, really focus on tapping, breathing, putting your focus through the pineal gland, and then meditating on the light. So the course is made, like I said, for beginners as well as advanced people, but please start to focus on this, because this is going to be where you start to build that rapport with your unconscious mind. Now, if anything comes up, any negative thoughts, any anger, sadness, fear, guilt, limiting beliefs, decisions, anything else that comes up, just say, that's nice. Thanks for sharing. We'll get back to how to clear that up later. Okay, just tell your unconscious mind that. Okay, so I'm going to give you a bonus meditation for this week as well. For those of you who maybe don't feel like you can trust the process or have this process back here between the conscious and the unconscious mind. For those of you who are really like, look, I don't know if I can relax. I don't know that I really buy this stuff. I don't know that I kind of get this conscious, unconscious mind connection thing. Before you do the first three, this bonus meditation is the inner child, right? So if you have too much critical parent or too much ego going on, just go ahead and listen to this audio number 4, and you can get acquainted with your inner child or your unconscious mind. And you don't need to know anything about this other than it's self-guided by me. I'm just going to guide you to start to find your unconscious mind, build rapport with it, and all you need to do is just listen to the program and enjoy it. Just enjoy it and breathe and relax as you go through it. Just relax. If any of this doesn't work, you just aren't relaxing the muscles around your face. If any of you say, I can't be hypnotized, that's not true, because all you need to do is get in an elevator and everybody hypnotizes themselves. The simple fact that you're saying, I can't be hypnotized, I can't be hypnotized, I can't be hypnotized, I can't be hypnotized, you're actually hypnotizing yourself. The hard part is not to put somebody in a hypnotic state. The hard part is get them out of the one that they're in and think something different. So if you have any problems, any questions with any of this, please let me know. So my warning and my disclaimer is never, 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 for now, the basic course, the advanced course, for everything, never listen to any of these audio meditations. I should say audio meditations while you're driving, riding a bike, running, or in any busy area or in any other area with an activity constitutes movement, where relaxing and kind of chilling out or going inside may put you in harm's way in any way. Okay? I do not have insurance for this. I'm not responsible for accidents or any other incidents that occur while listening to this audio program. It's your personal responsibility to use this in the appropriate manner and in the appropriate environment for what it is. So please be safe, because I want you all to come back to the webinar next week. Okay? So listen to these in a nice, safe, easy place. If you want, start in your chair. If you start to fall asleep too much, great. I actually listen to these when I walk on the Greenway Trail by my house. Great. Still pay attention all the time to where you are as you're listening to them. Okay? So that's my disclaimer and my warning, please. So let's go ahead and wrap up. All right? We went through the success equation for psychology, right? You can have everything in life you want, all the money, and money is energy, if you have the right levels of motivation, times commitment, and concentration. And we let go of resistance, and there's 2 forms of resistance. Resistance shows up as anger, sadness, fear, guilt, limiting decisions. We're going to get more into this in the next audio webinar next time. We talked about the conscious and the unconscious mind, right? The conscious mind is here to give focus and direction and tell the unconscious mind what to do. It can be a nurturing parent or a critical parent. The unconscious mind has a lot more job duties and responsibilities. It's supposed to keep us whole and healed and complete, store all of our memories, positive or negative, create new associations consciously and unconsciously to new experiences that we have by what it already has stored in the unconscious mind. And the big paradigm shift from today is how it gets out of the conundrum of keeping us whole and healed and complete, even though it stores negative emotions, is we need to start listening to what it's bringing back up for us to clear up. And the conscious mind just needs to start to give direction to the unconscious mind and just says, great, clear it up. It's just that simple. The conscious mind is that we discovered that is either nurturing or critical. We discovered what the conscious mind is responsible for and what the unconscious mind is responsible for. Rapport with the unconscious mind is created through what? Relaxation. And relaxation is created by learning how to breathe and relax. And all relaxation starts in the face and the muscles around the eyes. So by noonish tomorrow, you should all receive and be on the lookout for a Dropbox file invitation from me that specifically says, join this Dropbox file. Everything that you want or need is going to be in there. It's going to contain, like I said, the video from tonight, and the whole webinar, the audio only and the PowerPoint presentation. Remember that this is for you. Please don't disseminate it to all your friends and buddies and everybody else. The course is so inexpensive, just have them join in if they want. So there will also be the 3 audio meditations. Feel free to review at any time. Listen to the 3 audio meditations. Like I said, Dropbox is totally safe to download these materials from. If you have any questions, I love your feedback. That's on the next slide here. So please send me your feedback. Any questions? They're great learnings, because what I do from the webinars here on out is I do a quick Q&A and learnings at the beginning of every webinar of what everybody's asked, because it's a great way for us to learn. So I incorporate all of your feedback into the course here. So a preview of session number 2, we're going to go into some of David Hawkins' levels of consciousness work. We're going to talk about those emotions of anger, sadness, fear, guilt. We're going to talk about what they mean for us energetically and emotionally inside the body. We're going to go one step deeper into meditation. We're going to talk about the 4 specific outcomes in terms of emotional release for meditation. And of course, we're going to take a look at how to do each one of these processes very specifically to get results. We're going to focus on clearing negative emotions, keys to achievable outcome, how to identify your negative emotions, what they're working to tell us. And like I said, we're going to start doing emotional release next week for anger, sadness, and I think fear and guilt as well. But we're going to start doing emotional clearing right next week. So your unconscious mind can lead you to a much better life where you have everything that you want without the wild ride. That's my promise for the course. So send me some Q&A between now and next time. I absolutely love to hear from you. My email, of course, is james@evolutionforsuccess.com. All of you should have my cell phone, which is 919-745-7569. Call me. Let me know what's on your mind and what your questions are. And I'm going to stop the recording now, and we'll go into Q&A just for as long as you need. All right, let me stop this here and unmute everybody. All right. All right, so what questions do you have? Any questions?
Comment from James. I picked up more on this session versus the first time. So, and I really like the new your style and approach on this.
Thanks.
And the way it's being presented. So excellent.
Thank you. For those of you who are new on the call, Keith attended a prior screening. So just a value add note, in the future you always have access to today. And as I update and redo the course, make it better and better and better, you're always welcome to come to the course. So thanks for being on the call, Keith. And thanks for the
I feel the same as Keith. Hi, Keith.
Hey, Bart.
I've listened to the classes alone, but having you go through it again live, I got a lot more understanding, even though it was, the basic stuff is still, it was great. It was very cool.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. Ditto on that. Any questions from Stephanie or David or let me see who else. Jesse, any questions?
No, it was excellent. Thank you. I have a lot to process. I wrote a lot. I took a lot of notes, and the meditations were awesome.
Yeah, I throw a lot out there.
No, it's good. I like the tapping is really helpful. That's not. I meditate most days for about 20 minutes, but the tapping was really helpful.
Oh, good. Excellent. Any other questions, comments, concerns, feedback?